So, hello everybody. Good afternoon. This evening, we are interested in looking into a very important topic. It's about a year since EndSARS protest happened, taking Lekki, Lagos, and almost the entire important cities of Nigeria. And 1 year down the line, youths are already coming up to say they want to mark anniversary of the events that transpired on November 20th, 2020. This is 2021. And we want to appraise that protest and development since then. And I have with me Mr. or Comrade Adeyeye Femi. You're welcome on the show. Say hello to everybody.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Shegun. Let me also call you. Let me use the title Mister for you, and then say thank you very much, Nigerians, for staying tuned to the show. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So let us start with the protest of last year, November 2020. How would you appraise
Okay,
that protest, that particular protest? Different people have different reactions, different perspectives to it. Do not forget, a lot believed
definitely.
that it was uncalled for because it turned out at the end of the day, with people being called, addressed, or described as hoodlums hijacking the protest. But what's your own appraisal? Let's start with that.
All right, thank you very much. I think the first thing that must be made very clear as regards NSAS protest is that this is the most organized, the most mobilized for protests in recent times, wherein, like I describe it, wherein Nigerians tried to presume citizenship on themselves. They tried to assert citizenship to say, okay, you've always been saying we are citizens of this country. You've always been saying we are leaders of tomorrow. Can we let's just even test all of these terms that you've been using for to describe us? And so that was what really happened during NSAS. People were just saying, see, we just want to leave. We want to, oh, and you know. And so people
What
just said,
happened to
okay, we
you?
want to leave. Nigeria
Electricity?
happened. Yes, just now.
Nigeria happened to you. Okay, who turned off the light? This happened at Lekki, and the what followed it
Okay,
was tragic. So please
until
be careful. Make sure there's light there.
of course they can get here anyways. So like I was saying, so NSAS was about the assertion of citizenship, the rights of people to say they were not even asking for too much. It's just the right to live. Just please, let's just be alive.
Be alive.
Let's just
Police should stop
yeah.
killing
Yes,
people.
of
Yeah.
course. So that was what NSAS was about. And like you said, and I'll be alluding to that, it meant different things to different people. And to the young people, it was just assertion of citizenship, like I've said earlier. To the ruling class, that's been represented by Muhammadu Buhari to today, like he said in the Arise interview, he said the youths that
They were
wanted
trying to
to
remove him.
remove him out of power. So that was NSAS for Buhari. You understand? We were just saying, hey, we want to leave. Please allow us
But
to
let me
leave.
ask you: do you think he was the one who came up with that insinuation or belief, or do you think he was advised by his political circle that that is
Yeah,
what you guys were trying to do?
both,
Or do you
both.
think Buhari,
Yes.
put differently, do you think Buhari was alone in that statement, or do you think it was
Statement.
only
No,
amplifying what his political circle believe it is?
no, he's not alone. He's not alone. And you
Okay.
can tell also from the statement of the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, during that time. He also said, we survived this, we would not survive the next. He said it. It was
Hmm.
widely published. Yes. So what does that mean? Yes, it was widely reported at the time. So they all saw it as an uprising from the below. One of you know one that has not happened in recent times, that you could have people come out that many speak with one voice and then say this is what we want. And at the point where you are even trying to tell them that we've done this, can you just go back? People are saying no, we don't trust you. We'll still continue to be on the streets. You understand?
Hmm.
So it had different meanings to different people. And
If
what
there were
would even
gains
happen?
from that protest, can you list them? Mention maybe
Number
one or two. Were there gains?
number one for me actually is heightened political consciousness. Yes,
Okay.
the
Are you
average
sure?
Nigerian, yes, the average Nigerian became more politically conscious. Number two
Hmm.
is that the ruling class, represented by Muhammadu Buhari, removed every doubt, cleared everybody's doubts. That
Hmm.
if you like, call your protest revolution now. If you like, call it jubilation now. If you like, call it clapping now. If you like, because NSAS to so many, because the media has a way of always painting this narrative that some agitations are more confrontational than others. So NSAS was less confrontational. It's just simple demands, 505. It's not like the revolution now radical demand that we some of us were pushing, or we continue to push rather. You understand? So people, there was this illusion that the government will just accede to these demands and then there will be no problem, will come after anybody and all of that. But then the Buhari regime had to tell us point blank that if you like, call it any name, give it anything, provided your protest is against the interest of is against our own interests, we will come after you. So that's
So that
let
simply
everybody
means number
down.
one, to summarize it,
Political
number one gain
consciousness.
is that everybody became aware that it's not about calling it revolution now. The regime doesn't just want anybody to protest.
Definitely, yes.
So,
And you can also
it
see,
created that awareness for everybody.
yeah, definitely. So the no, it was a two-way thing. The political consciousness became heightened at some point. One. The second part was that the ruling class, represented by Muhammadu Buhari, also assisted to heighten political consciousness by clearing all everybody's doubts. That if you like, call it any name, we would come after. We don't want anybody to gather. And you can even see what's happening today. If you're to protest, they come with show of force and everything. In the southeast, they are saying, okay, we are not coming out to protest again. We'll be doing sit at homes. They are still going to people's homes to kill
To force
people
them
in their
out.
home.
why
So
did
to
why
force
did
them
you sit
out.
at home?
Why did you sit at home? You said, okay, don't stay on the street. People went back to their houses, and yet you're still pushing them out. So people carried shite flag, like I posted on Facebook the other day. You shot at them. Biafra flag, you shot at them. Nigerian flag, you
You
also
still shot
shot.
at them.
So the old doubts that anybody could have has been cleared, and in fact, it's a gain for the revolution that is very imminent. There's nothing you can do about it. So these are some
Okay,
of the
fine.
gains.
But the major reason the protest even started that was end SARS, like end
Let-
brutality by police and all the rest. Would you say
Yes,
that protest at least achieved its main leitmotif, the leading motive for which it started out? Yes,
you
they said
see,
they ended SARS, they disbanded SARS, that unit, and then
mm,
shortly afterwards they reintroduced SWAT,
mhm.
and then uh, I don't know from your experience, did you see changes at least?
Yes, like as someone who has been part of the whole process from the beginning, for NSAS, and like I said during an interview yesterday, that NSAS first physical protest held in 2017. It's not just this. This one's not the first one. And so in 2017, in response to the protest and everything, they said they reformed it, that they reformed SAS. In 2018, they said they rebranded it. When Kolade Johnson and Tina were killed, police brutality during a raid, what they call raid, anyways. Um, they said they gave it another name, maybe refurbished or something. They have always been, giving it several coinages. So over down to 2020, we became one of the biggest globally. So I would say nothing. I can say this categorically because I'm not that type who is into tokenism. That okay, at least we brought out five demands. They did one, they did not do. No, no, no. The issues are deeper than just changing the name and all of that. And like as we are even discussing this, I saw a particular report of police brutality and even SAS. It was not even police brutality. SAS. They had SAS on their vest in Ijebu yesterday. Yesterday, I saw
Hmm.
that yes. So they are still very, very, very much around. They've changed their name. There's this one they call DMU. I heard about that today. Too again at Area F. They call them disaster management units at
Hmm.
Area F. Some of the SAS guys who were said to be disbanded, you know, were taken to that DMU. So what's then the difference? Nothing actually has changed. And it requires some
But
level
their
of
operations may have changed. I mean, the way they were always going headlong, looking for just anybody, any youth who carries tattoo and all that. It looks like that may have abated or reduced
And
somehow.
what has happened actually is that they've also um, changed, like you said, mode of operation, but the mode of brutality has not changed, or brutality in itself has not changed. In fact, what has happened is that brutality has now had they've helped other agencies, other security agencies, to become brutal. And like you could see even on Twitter the other day when people were calling for end EFCC, and they just keep ending any security agents that continues to. So brutality has not stopped, and it has a roots, and that was where I was trying to go to. You see, it requires a level of intellectualism to understand the root of all of these problems, of how brutality has come to stay with us as a people. It is not by commanding, um, we don't command peace into the air when there is no justice. When people cannot find justice, definitely there will be no peace. It's as simple as that. So it has a root in, let me even be specific in about the police. How are these guys recruited? This is a country where traditional chiefs, obas, emirs are the ones they write names of people and they send to police academy. This is fact. You can do your research about this. These are people who are not interested in the job. They don't even understand what the policing is about. They just write people's name and then they send it. That's recruitment. After recruitment, how do they post them? How do they post them? I'm so related with police officers, so I can tell you that some people pay as high as 500,000 naira
Hmm.
to be part of SARS units. Do this research. I think our journalists should start doing research. Yes, 500,000 naira. So if you pay that much to be part of SARS, you are not a police officer. You are an investor. So we don't have police officers. You go to police stations, you find a DPO. He's the one who he has his own desk by himself. He did the furniture, he did everything. So he's an investor. And for an investor must have ROI, returns on investment. So returns on investment would mean that this police officer would always go out to raid. They must recoup their investments now. If I pay as much as high as 500,000, 1 million naira to be part of a unit, why won't I make my money back? So this is how. What about promotion, remuneration? All these things are serious issues. So, but if you don't look at all these things and then you just sit down somewhere and you say SARS has become SWAT, and so for that reason something will just change in the air and all of that, it shows that the people running this country are so intellectually bereft. They don't have any ideas of, in fact, the problem in itself and what the solution could be. So for me, as a person who is, I do not advocate for tokenism. I'm an advocate of a total overhaul of the system. So all these simple tokens that they change the name, they've arrested 2 people, arrested 3 people, and so, and as you can see, because we are planning an EndSARS memorial, they released a statement yesterday, very lengthy thing by Laolu Akonde, the SSA to the vice president, very lengthy something that now they are going to compensate all the EndSARS victims. Now this was something they were denying. Now they are agreeing that they were victims during EndSARS and the Lekki massacre. Now they are agreeing. After that, they said everybody who is in prison, protesters who are in prison, that they are going to look at their cases, and which meaning is that they will release many of them. After that, they said they would prosecute the police officers. These are things that have happened before, issues that have happened before the EndSARS protest in itself. And this is a year after. Now, in just 3 days, everybody's running helter skelter. It shows that these people are not sincere about all of these things. And that is what the Nigerian young people must understand. I must return back to the barricade. It's as simple as that.
But last year during the protest, or in the course of it, or towards the end of it, by the time it was going to, people were going to be sent off the streets, we saw that
Okay.
hoodlums were reported to be hijacking warehouses, taking, um, looting, foodstuff from warehouses. And later we also saw that BRT buses were burnt, and also the toll plaza was also burnt or destroyed. I mean, I'm not sure you're happy about all these destructions, and that's probably one of the things they are trying to prevent again. And this is to lead to the question:
Okay.
your customer, the commissioner of police in Lagos State, they has said you guys should not gather to mark any memorial or anniversary, whatever you like to call it, because they are still arguing around how to make sure that they bring back all the things that were affected in the course of the protest last year. Would you at least honor the constituted authority, the police, constituted authority, and not
Yeah,
go ahead with this anniversary?
I understand you. You see, sovereignty lies with the people, from which the government derives its authorities and powers. It's in the constitution, their own constitution, the constitution that was written. And so sovereignty, authority lies with the desire of the people. But away from that, and I would link it to what you said about, hoodlums. I prefer to call these people they are Nigerians who are just victims of circumstance. So instead of giving them coinages of the ruling class, that's during elections they are their friends. These hoodlums you're talking about, during elections they are their friends. Um, After elections they become thugs. After elections or anytime, sorry, then during protests they are hoodlums. You understand? They are their friends. Many of them walk into body long, very fine. They come with their Oga follows them. Those guys are their friends during election, dogs. After that, hoodlums. We start giving them several coinages and all of that. They are Nigerians who are just victims of circumstance. People that, if you, with correct political education, you would, in fact, that's the end of this rotten system. But that's by the way. And looking at what the commissioner of police is saying, Akim Odumosu, one thing is very clear, sacrosanct in law, and it is that you cannot deny people their right to express themselves. Protest is the right to express yourself. If what we planned for October 20th, 2021 was a political rally at Lekki toll gates to say, nobody was killed. In fact, a forensic expert from the UK has vindicated us, has vindicated the Defend Lagos team and our political warlords and our godfathers. You can see nobody died. Where are the bodies? If that was what we planned to do, this commissioner of police, Akim Odumosu, would not go against it. That one is fine. But to come out to say we want to remember the people who lost their lives in the line of duty, because it's something very emotional for me when I go back to that clip and I hear that particular sound when someone was saying, sit down, don't go, let them shoot. It's a very strong message. That is a message of resistance of the artist order that you could see gone. Someone shooting at you and you say, sit down, let them shoot. I'm still going to write something about it. It's a very strong, message. So we want to remember people like that. We want to call for justice. That everyone who has lost their lives, that justice, should be done. And then the commissioner is coming up to say hoodlums with hijack. They have always said that. And this is it. Anytime there's going to be a protest, that's when you know that police officers have best equipment. In fact, they have boots, neat ones, they have neat uniforms, they have fine guns, they have nice canisters, they've got Akim Odumosu himself will then adorn himself with different, like he's going to war. We don't understand. Like he's going to war. The other
Quite
day at
eloquent.
Ojota, yeah, of course, you would think it's one Jack Bar. At the other day at Ojota, when they were, I wrote something about that. When they were doing their show of force, when that was the Odua Nation rally that was about to happen, they were doing show of force and everything. And I said, 10 minutes from Ojota is a place that is a hotbed of all violent crimes in Lagos State. I'm talking about Shomolu Fadeyi. That place is not far from your Ojota. Why can't you just do show of force one afternoon in that area? That okay, we are around, though, you people should not mess up. Just do some kind of show of force, but they will not do that. It is only when citizens are coming out to say we want to express ourselves. We are not happy about this. That's when you show all the force and all the equipment that you have in your armory. You understand? So we are not going to listen to that. We have the moral rights. Every Nigerian has the moral right to disobey any unjust law and order. Any law and order that is unjust, that is against humanity, every Nigerian has the right. It's a moral duty to disobey. And that's why it is called civil disobedience, anyways. So that's
So
it.
there was a panel set up immediately after that EndSARS protest was getting winding off last year, and it was part
Okay.
of its scope was to investigate and ascertain or determine who were the victims, what happened, compensation, to find out fact finding largely and restitution. At least, what do you make of the progress by that panel so far?
For me, and this is my opinion on the panel. At first, I was against it. I was against it, and with several prejudices that I have in my heart. In fact, I will spill one of it out now. One of it is that one of the person who is part of that penalty today, I'm talking about Shegun Awusonya, Sega,
Sega.
was, yes, tweeted during EndSARS that EndSARS was an insurrection. We still have that tweet anyway, that it's an insurrection against the state. And so he was saying several things against it. Now, doesn't it sound ironical that someone who does not see a protest or a movement like that as a protest for human rights, to defend, to protect human rights, is now part of a panel to decide whether the protest, maybe people died and all that. So that's one number one. I just felt this is just some kind of government arrangement, the same
Like
way they
some
did
biased panelists there, right?
bias panel. I just felt no, this is just one jamboree. You understand? That's number one. But number two, the second thing is um it's the greatest undoing of the Lagos state government to put up that panel. They finished doing it, they instituted it, and then they felt like, how can we shut this panel down? Because at the end of the day, it became their greatest undoing because of the kind of details that were coming out of it. And we just need to mention people's name because of what they did. And the likes of the EndSARS lawyer, Adeshina Ogunlana,
Milano.
very taking his time to marshal all the points, the facts that was involved in the whole process from the beginning till the killing and post EndSARS. Because what really happened on the 20th and the 21st, serious killings across Lagos State. It was not just like it was just the epicenter. Different things happened everywhere in Lagos. You understand? And even till this minute, we still have over 300 people in Kirikiri who were picked during EndSARS, 300 of them. And so someone like that is doing. So when we should also, people like Olumide Fushika, senior advocate of Nigeria, many persons. So at some point, the government found it like, is there a way we can just shut down this panel? Because it was now becoming an embarrassment. We had this pathologist who
Their
also
own
came and
panel embarrassing them.
their own panel became an embarrassment. That can we just look for a way to shut down this thing? Because the chief pathologist also came and said 1999 bodies, corpses were registered. So many things were just coming up that they could not refute. When the police officer I attended one, I've forgotten the name of that. I think it is an ACP operations. He came there and then he brought out one video and claimed that what happened in that video happened during EndSARS. One of the lawyers then showed him the time stamp on it that this is November. This was not EndSARS. Do you know what? That means the man just went on and he nodded anyway in shame when the lawyer put it to him that means you went online and you were just looking for anything that looks like violence to bring to this
Hmm.
panel. And then he looked at it and said, he was just so embarrassed. He did not
Blabbing.
look at the time snap, he was just blabbing. So they just went online, they were looking for anything. That video was just one kind of street fights. I heard that cultists were fighting and all of that. So he went to pick that and said EndSARS. So when he was asked again, he said EndSARS caused it. That was a ripple effect of what happened. EndSARS has now opened doors to so many violent crimes across the the state. And so everyone just started laughing that this man must be, should just enroll with this man, Sonyeri and these other guys, so they can make movies. Very
Okay.
interesting. for us to laugh. So it's a big mistake on their part, and they are looking for a way to just shut it down. But it's just too late. It's just too late. So we're waiting the 19th of October. I heard it's going to be the final hearing. Their recommendations and every other thing will be sent to the NEC. That's the National Economic Council that came up with that very funny statement. So it's just what it is, anyways. But it's a two-way thing. At some point, when you look at it like it's biased due to my prejudice that I've stated earlier, you also look at the other hand that it then became um, an embarrassment for them.
Let me take you back to one statement you made at the beginning of this interview, when you said it increased political consciousness of people. And the
Yes.
political adjective there was what interested me. If you said consciousness, I would have taken it without any, it was political. A lot of
Okay.
people believed, at some point, people began to say, well, whether they disbanded SARS or not, we want to take this further. This is our chance. We want to ask that we end bad governance at the same time. It was at that point, I think, that they waved in and said, no, we are not ending bad governance. Enough of this nonsense.
Mm,
So
mm,
you would believe that people would say, okay, at this point, let's start engaging politically by forming whether our own party or throwing weight and support behind fresh ideas and people and organizations. But then the events of past few days may be proving otherwise. As many youths have joined Swagger,
mhm.
Articulate, or Simba Joe Group and all that. The same, most of them also part of uh, whether EndSARS, Yoruba Nation, and all that. Would you still stand on that point that it increased political consciousness, or would you think, well, maybe Nigerians are still not entirely ready?
Okay. Thank you very much. When I say political consciousness, anyways, in this part of the world, anytime we talk about political, when we use that word political, what we think is partisan politics. That's where everybody's mind
Or
goes to.
participation in politics and taking a stance
Politics.
in politics? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah, NSAS in itself is political because I'm finding it very difficult to use past tense to describe NSAS because it's still very much around with us. So I don't want to say NSAS was political. So it's a political, answer to a political problem. So, but in this part of the world, when we like, let me reiterate that in this part of the world, when you say political, what comes to your mind is maybe APC, PDP, this guy. No, no, no. There are so many things that form what we call politics, which is policy. Politics is about policy, actually. It's about policy. On human rights, what's your policy? On education, what's your policy? That's politics. So I was having an argument
And on
in a
your
particular,
voting rights too, what is your policy?
or for what's your policy on that? You understand? So, but now let's go to the young people. You would agree with me that ever since that time, the number of conversation, I'm very, very much into the political terrain, so I can tell you the kind of conversations that have been happening ever since NSAS. In fact, during NSAS, you could see how people were floating different political party. There was this one young Democratic Party, and people were joining, and after that, they left that. There were several conversations on Clubhouse, on Twitter Spaces, on, in fact, one of such, even though it sounds very funny, one of the persons said we would queue behind a younger candidate for 2023 and we would sponsor the person. We would buy bag of rice. We would also share bag of rice. We would also pay people to vote for this young person. You see? So, but I was just on that particular conversation, I was laughing. I said, see, you cannot outspend these guys because MC Oluomo alone. I said, because I was telling that guy because he's just a professional in the UK, very enthusiastic, very ebullient. But this energy was there, like, we just have to do something. And then I said, see, you are just a professional in the UK. I don't know how you make your money. The MC Oluomo has made serious money today. He did not leave his house. This one will take money and clear. He won't. Only him would bankroll the whole campaign of the swagger man. Only MC Oluomo will do the whole thing. So what are you? You cannot outspend them. What we have to do is we need to educate people correctly. When people queue behind correct ideas and all of that. So political consciousness, has increased since that time. But we must not also fall into that trap where we begin to think by maybe because you're young, then you're intellectual enough. We have several examples. We have this Kogi man, that's the worst governor in Nigeria today. Yaya Bello. Uh, I'm trying to look for their names. People who call themselves young people, and this man is also gone. Is trying to become president 2023. So age actually is not a political ideology. Age is not a political ideology. So it has nothing. It is your idea on all of these things that I've listed earlier: human rights, your idea on education. What do you think about the economy? These are serious questions. So I maintain that fact that political consciousness has heightened. You see, all those ones doing swagger and all of that, the thing will scatter. It's very clear. And
Okay,
like I used to
swagger
tell some
scatter. Okay.
swagger scatter, definitely. You see, I know you're very good with with coinages, swagger
Oh
scatter.
no, never mind.
But you see, I used to tell them, I used to make this very interesting thing. I have some of them as friends who are just acquaintances. And I tell them, I say, you, I know you. It is poverty that is pushing you into this swagger thing. You are not, it is not because you like to do all of that. You are just hungry. And you are not even a party member. Many of them are not party members. We know those who are in the party. The party
But
members
it
know
could be an
themselves.
admirer.
The party members, yes. The party members, they know themselves. You are not a party member because your decision, if you hold ward meetings, you have to go and see, especially in Lagos, there's this group, they have different groups of the APC. There's this one, Governor's Advisory Council. That one is the highest of all the decision making. So if you like make any decision in your ward and you say, I'm an APC member, I have the card, you are just deceiving, you are not in the party. The party people are embodied, they know themselves. So you are not in the party at all. Just take that your 10 naira from them or 20 naira that you want to because of poverty. Do you understand? So don't worry. What we just have to do is we continue pushing our own message, our own narrative that see we cannot continue on this path. And you could also let me go back to what happened during EndSARS. When the people you called hoodlums came to hijack the thing in Anamsa, what happened? They were repelled. They were repelled by the people who understood, who had the ideas. So when they were repelled, some of them joined. At the end of the day, because when you cannot beat them, sometimes you just feel like it seems these people are the 10 naira you are giving me, 20 naira, you will not solve this. We just need to join. So what we have to do is not to be distracted by any of these things. The politician, the ruling class, they've weaponized poverty, weaponized it to the point that, and if you would allow me, please indulge me. I want to add to this question. I want to add another 1 minute to answer it. I want to take a longer time. I've noticed something in our society that we now have different classes of um how do I put it? Different classes of people who work for the politicians. You have those ones who are just they are just there, lower class. Those are the swagger people who would always paste posters. You have them. You have those ones. You have another level, and that is the level all of us must start attacking. We must attack that class. That class is a class of professionals, middle class, quote and unquote. They are the ones who help to shape narratives. Many of them don't vote. Many of them don't vote. They will just help you to shape narratives, opinions, and then when they shape all of these things, they go back and then they push it to the public. They allow you to do what you want to do with it, even though they've shaped it towards their own candidates, which they know this person is not capable, is not does not cannot do anything. But they are most of them are contractors. They are contractors of the state, and that is what they do. So, like someone posted, he said, the educated, which I changed to the schooled will campaign for a bad leader so that the illiterates would elect that bad leader. And then they will come back to blame the illiterates for electing the bad leader. That explains it. So, all of these things must be understood in the correct perspective that our society has been so multi layered because of poverty. Don't think that middle class guy is also not poor. He's poor. Doesn't have the guy wants to eat. He wants to eat. If he talks too much, he will not get contract. If he, so many of them, if he talks too much, he will not get contract. He will go broke. So he has to just continue, and it's poverty.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Femi Adeyeye, as we count down to the memorial or anniversary of EndSARS. But before we go, just on a lighter note, I
Okay.
understand that so many Femis. I don't know what's special about that name. They are all Femis that I know. They are always either naughty, useful, but they will always be to the extreme. If they will be naughty, it will be to the extreme. If they will be useful, I don't know if you what your view is about Femi Adeyeye or Femi Fanikayode. You are also
Oh,
Femi, but okay, your own is Olorun Femi. Forgive me. So that
uh,
maybe that makes a difference.
why do we like dwelling on on serious people?
That's why I
We have
said
Femi Falana.
it's on the
We have Femi
lighter note.
Falana. We have Femi Falana. We have
Oh, you
Femi
have counter
Kuti.
list.
We have Borishade. We
You
have
have
serious
counter
people.
list.
So we have
Okay,
we have counter list. So we have serious people. Let's just leave all those ones. Those
I'm
ones
happy
don't.
for you. Your testimony shall be permanent. So thank you so much for your time. So we'll continue to monitor and follow up on the countdown and as well the memorial itself. Well done, I must
Thank you.
say. And what's your last message to Nigerians? 2023 is approaching. What does AAC have for uh, the people? Are you taking advantage of all these charges, or are you allowing political monetizers to buy like them into the swagger?
Yeah, what we're saying is that the people will definitely determine their liberation. You understand? There are no liberators anywhere. It's the people who liberate themselves. But what we have to do is that we are the vanguard and we've put ourselves forward as the vanguard of such liberation. And you can tell from our activities, you can tell from our, events and all of that. Everything we're talking about is liberation, liberation, liberation. Because we must not mischaracterize this struggle. We think it's a struggle for human rights. No, you talk about human rights when you are seen by your government as a human being. You understand? But you're not seen as a human being. It is only when you are seen as a citizen you can talk about rights. But yeah, it is that is not the because no government will shoot citizens. You can only go after slaves. And you shoot slaves. And so that was what happened in Lekki. They did not see us as citizens. You understand? So that is what the African Action Congress is saying. That see, we just need to liberate ourselves. It is a liberation struggle and not some struggle for democracy, human rights, and some sort of tokenisms.
Thank you very much, Femi Adeyeye. I like to stress that Femi, because I know so many Femis. And
They're very mysterious.
thank you. You take good care of
Thank you.
yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.